When America gained independence from Britain in 1783, the young nation quickly turned its attention to expanding its territory beyond the original 13 colonies. This period of early territorial expansion was driven by a combination of economic aspirations, political ambitions, and the belief in manifest destiny, the conviction that the United States was destined to spread across the North American continent. Westward expansion began almost immediately after independence, as settlers and pioneers sought new opportunities and land in the vast, uncharted territories to the west of the Appalachian Mountains. At the time of independence, most of the American population lived along the East Coast. This was where the original 13 colonies had been established, and the population was concentrated in these areas due to access to trade routes, fertile land for agriculture, and established communities. However, the growing population, combined with the desire for land ownership and economic advancement, led many to look westward. The availability of land in the East was becoming limited, and as families grew, younger generations sought new opportunities on the frontier. The promise of new land for farming, hunting, and settlement was a powerful draw for many Americans. The most significant event in early territorial expansion was the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. Under President Thomas Jefferson, the United States acquired the Louisiana Territory from France for $15 million, effectively doubling the size of the nation overnight. This vast expanse of land, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, provided an enormous amount of territory for exploration and settlement. The Louisiana Purchase opened up new possibilities for trade, agriculture, and settlement, and it also solidified the United States' control over the crucial port of New Orleans and the Mississippi River, which were vital for trade and transportation. As Americans moved westward, they encountered indigenous peoples who had lived on these lands for centuries. The expansion of the United States inevitably led to conflict with these indigenous nations, who resisted the encroachment on their territories. However, the resistance of indigenous peoples to Western expansion was weakened by a combination of factors. One major factor was the series of wars and conflicts that had already devastated many indigenous communities. Diseases brought by Europeans had also drastically reduced indigenous populations, weakening their ability to resist. Additionally, the military power of the United States, along with alliances and treaties that were often unfavorable or broken, further eroded indigenous resistance. The War of 1812, for example, saw many indigenous groups allied with the British in an effort to resist American expansion, but the defeat of the British and their allies weakened indigenous power in the region, clearing the way for further American expansion into the Northwest Territory and beyond. The desire to expand westward was driven by multiple factors. Economic opportunity was a primary motivator, as many Americans sought the chance to own land, farm, and establish new communities. The promise of fertile land for agriculture, particularly in areas like the Mississippi Valley, was highly appealing. Additionally, the discovery of resources such as furs, minerals, and later, gold, provided further incentives for expansion. Politically, expansion was seen as a way to strengthen the nation by spreading American ideals and increasing its territory. The idea of manifest destiny, the belief that it was America's divine right and duty to expand across the continent, further fueled the drive westward. This belief was not just about economic gain but also about spreading democracy, civilization, and American values across the continent. In summary, after gaining independence in 1783, the United States rapidly embarked on a path of westward expansion, driven by the desire for land, economic opportunity, and the belief in manifest destiny. While most of the population initially lived along the East Coast, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 dramatically expanded the nation's territory, opening vast new lands for settlement. Indigenous resistance to this expansion was weakened by war, disease, and military defeats, allowing American settlers to push further westward. This expansion was motivated by a combination of economic aspirations, political ambitions, and a belief in the nation's destined role on the continent.